stories that are both a delight to read and to hear. Sick again. It can sometimes be hard to spot who really is sick from who is not. Some children who are not sick, not at all, will have temperatures ablaze, seem in a daze, and have even their eyeballs all over glazed. Some parents know when kids are just fooling, and other parents are thinking of starting homeschooling. The school's vice principal explained. Children make up wild excuses to stay away from school for the day, even though they're not sick in any way. While some other kids should stay home to protect the rest from their strange syndromes. There are a few stories to tell, stories of kids we all know too well. You've heard all the stories, but never one quite like Laurie's. Just one cough from Laurie, nothing more. Call the doctor! My throat is sore! When her nose had a sniffle, a bit of a cold, the smallest of sneezes by Laurie Lane, they'd call for the doctor to visit again. One illness or another, she would always complain. She was never really sick, but just wouldn't go out when it rained. Going outside in the rain she would really dread. I hate the rain, it's awfully wet, she said. I don't like raindrops on my head. Her doctor explained, just carry an umbrella instead. You have no sickness, it's all just pretend. You can't spend so much time in bed, or you'll turn green and shrivel up in the end. Tilly hates all stuffed toys with those stitched-on noses and button eyes, the kind of stuffed toys that almost seem alive and that some people win as a carnival prize. While other girls her age have them piled up high in their rooms and on their beds, they give me the heebie-jeebies. That's what Tilly says. Cuddly bunnies, teddy bears, even those hound dogs with long floppy ears. Just the sight of one brings her to tears, and for Tilly there's even much more to fear. They start to make her really feel sick. It's not just some sort of trick. She'll start to shudder, shake, and shiver. There's no medicine that any doctor can give her. One day her class had show and tell. The teacher asked everyone to bring their favorite doll pals. Tilly should have stayed home from school that day, but she learned something new by not being away. Stuffed toys can make her feel very ill, but that's not all. She's even worse near a googly-eyed doll. His doctor said, you have no illness of any kind. The way you feel is all in your mind. I won't go out to play. I want another doctor, George would always say. I would go to school if I could. Why is my illness so misunderstood? I know I'm sick in a very strange way. I should be in the hospital without any more delay. George wasn't so sure when a second doctor agreed with the first. No one believed his illness existed. I want another doctor, George insisted. The third doctor also said there's nothing wrong with him, not a sign. In fact, there were lots of doctors, more than 9, and they all said that George was perfectly fine. I want another doctor, George would always whine. The doctors all said, George is probably just faking. There are no reasons for this fuss that he's making. George's mother really couldn't tell if he was sick or if he was well. George's big sister Nellie said, there's no use saying everything is swell. Poor George, he never looked very strong. Poor George, he may not have very long. Poor George, now he can't go on a picnic, to the carnival or zoo. Any camping or hiking are too hard for him to do. No time at the beach or out boating, no swimming and not even floating. No baseball or riding our bikes. There's nothing he can do that he usually likes. He may even get worse and soon need a nurse. His sister explained. He'll just have to stay in that bed. No, really, I'm feeling just fine, George quickly said. No, no, you're quite ill, his sister insisted. No, no, I'm not, George resisted. I don't know how, but I feel much, much better now. Their class went to the zoo on a bright sunny day, and no one even knew that zoo animals could affect Fred that way. He just has a few allergies, his sister said. It's much worse than that, according to Fred. Everyone thought he might have a runny nose, some sniffles, or just a bit sneezy. What happened to Fred was much more than just wheezy. It even made the whole class start feeling quite queasy. When Fred got near penguins, he broke out in hives, and when by the elephants, his ears swelled to 10 times their size. His eyes bulged out just like a hippo's, and leopard spots started to show. A rhino's horn was beginning to grow. Near the monkeys, he grew some gigantic toes. At the lion's cage, some whiskers started to sprout, and the giraffe's made his neck stick out. The teacher said, "It happened so quickly, there wasn't anything we could do." Before the day was through, poor Fred looked like he belonged in the zoo. Janet thought she'd be smart with an idea she got while doodling some art. She thought of a way to stay home from school for the day. Janet used a green pen to put spots on her face and her nose, but her biggest mistake was putting some on her clothes. Even her mother saw from the start that her spots didn't reach some other parts. Where it's too hard to reach, some were squiggles and others were lines, and none down the back of her spine. She did a sloppy job, that's what Janet's mother knows. There were none, not even one spot, not even a very small dot on her elbows or toes. It wasn't the best color to choose, and why were there spots on the tops of her shoes? No one believed that she used a green pen. Green spots won't wash off in the end, and there's no such thing as having green spots. I tried that myself, exclaimed one of her friends. There is one thing that's plain. She'll never try that trick again. Charlie knows all the best looking sick tricks. He just seems to look sick without any effort. He can shiver and shake. He sprays water on his face for the fever he fakes. He can easily cry to make his eyes all blotchy or splotchy. He trained his dog Boris to help, had thought up the idea all by himself. A dog's temperature isn't normal, not quite. Boris warms the thermometer just right. The twisting of his nose and pinching of his cheeks made them look so very red. A croaky voice will keep him in bed. Charlie complains, "I feel dizzy. There's pounding in my head. I'm seeing spots before my eyes." No one could know whenever he lies. Charlie would insist, "I don't feel right, but just a bit." It's never so much that their doctor should visit. If he only looks sick, it's his mother's rule. She will always say, "You better stay home from school." Cameron would feel just fine most all the time. Only when he sat in chemistry class, that's when his stomach would fill up with gas. His tummy would ache and really would hurt. 3 of the buttons often popped off his shirt. They said it was just because he's in school. He couldn't go home, that was the rule. They just let him sit, his stomach swelling. For him it was terrible. He wanted to yell. To belch would be impolite, so he held in the gas with all his might. The pressure grew and his stomach did too. Cameron finally blew up into a million bits. There was an awful mess around where he sits. All the other students began to get sick. Almost everybody ran from the room very quick. They should have let Cameron go home before it was too late, or find out just what it was that he ate. Things can sometimes blow up in chemistry class, but nobody thought it would be Cameron Bass. It's usually on Monday when Dick stays home, and always it starts with his terrible groan. He'd complain, "I couldn't sleep all night long, and my stomach and head just feel so wrong." Dick's mother wasn't fooled by his tricks, but there was a small chance that he really was sick. If Dick stays home from school with a bad stomach and head, he must spend the whole day resting in bed. So Dick made mountains from his blankets with roads in between. He played with toy trucks and dreamed his daydreams. Dick had so much fun imagining such stuff that staying home Monday just wasn't enough. On Tuesday, it all just started again. Each time he groaned, he was faking the pain. He just wanted to play with his toy trucks and toy train, then fly his toy plane through imagined hurricanes. He shouldn't have done such a trick. It all went from bad to worse when Dick really got sick. On Wednesday, it was more of the same, but he really felt sick and stayed home again. So he missed the big school baseball game. On Thursdays, his whole class went on a road trip to a giant water park. On Friday, Dick missed a big test and will get a bad mark. His teacher sent home piles of homework for Dick to do. So much homework it made Dick want to spew. Now he doesn't feel too smart about staying home from the start. Poor Jill, she really is ill. Doctors don't know where to begin when she breaks out in that rash all over her skin. It's not the mumps, lumps, or even those strange bumps, but mostly being allergic to both Felix and Grumps. Jill takes all her medicine, every pill, but both her pets still make her very ill. She loves her dog and cat and doesn't know what to do. Her pets love her too, but she scares them away when swelling up and turning blue. Brad was the best patient Dr. Gilmore ever had. He would always smile and never seem sad. He's brave and doesn't complain about any illness or any pain. Really long needles don't bother him one bit, even those needles that don't seem to fit. Brad got some hiccups that wouldn't go away. They kept on and on for more than 3 days. Dr. Gilmore didn't know what it was about. "Brad, there is no doubt," he said. "Just one more hiccup and you'll be dead. 3 days of hiccups is more than enough. Just one more hiccup and your heart will turn off." There was a look on Brad's face of both terror and fear. "Oh dear," he said. What's that you say? How can that be? With just one more hiccup, there's no more of me?" Brad didn't have hiccups anymore, thanks to Dr. Gilmore. "I don't want to be home on any school day. If someone is sick, if they don't stay away, I'll wear a big bag on my head," Jed would say. He even thought it was cool to wear a big bag on his head when in school. Jed never took the bag off. After that, no one remembered Jed's last name was Karloff. Instead, Jed was only known as the guy with the bag on his head. Even the school's vice principal said, "We don't even have any student named Jed." Albert's not really ill, but has a problem still. I don't know where to begin. Everything airy and sunny are scary to him. Albert just tries not to breathe when someone around him might sneeze. Every time he does, he sees spots turns blue and lots of people start to stare at him too. Albert says, "It works best to stay safe and unhurt when I only breathe air in very small spurts." He has special classroom air filter features, but has troubles hearing all his teachers. Albert's even afraid, in some cases, of wide open spaces. He is usually found walking around, staying in the shadows of nearby clouds. When the sun is shining too bright, he'll always be looking for shade. Clear blue skies make him very afraid, and with too much fresh air, he'll need some first aid. Some children are sick, not by their own making, while others are sick from their own faking. Whatever the cause, there is no mistaking that some time off from school is what they'll be taking.